today's passage is just one verse, right? So I'm going to be completely honest. It was kind of hard to prepare for this sermon because, you got to talk for 20 minutes about one verse. So it's going to be some repetition in there.
And maybe you're in a different way. Are you curious?
Yeah, of course. So last week we looked at the story of Ehud and how he was disabled. And because of his disability, God was able to use him due to his disability to save Israel out of the hands of their enemies. So after Ehud's victory and a period of 80 years of peace, Israel now faces new threats. The narrator gives us one more brief sketch of the deliverer. His name is Shamgar. He's a son of Anath, who struck down 600 Philistines with an ox goad and saved Israel. It's a single verse, but the impact of this verse and what we can learn is actually almost disproportionate to the length, which is very short. Shamgar was an example of how God can use humble, unlikely deliverers to provide and rescue and to be able for Israel to have relief from their enemies. And Shamgar's heroism shows God's power works through simplicity and unexpected means. This is a recurring theme that we see in the book of Judges. Every single time, it's going to be an unexpected person, a person of very little value in the eyes of society and all those things. But it's a repeating theme that we see not only in the Bible, but in our own lives and throughout history too. We'll mention some examples from history. Anybody know what Apollo 11 was?
It's a fantastic,
Right? Yeah.
failed rocket experiment.
So when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, one of their computer systems actually overloaded and almost forced an abort. Now, does anybody know what it means if it aborts?
Okay.
You have to eat by force.
I mean, it's almost certain death, right? I don't exactly know what it would look like, but it's definitely almost certain death. Now, secondary guidance program quietly took over and kept the landing stable. No one noticed this until after they were safe on the surface. And after they landed and they were safe, they checked the log and saw that an emergency system had overridden and had kept them safe, even though they were not expecting it. The systems in the background can be part of God's plan. He's always got a backup running, even when you cannot see it, and even when you don't realize it until you look at it from hindsight. Now, I can think of many examples where I had a huge crush on a girl, right? And God just made it impossible for any part of it to work out. And I look back at it and I'm thinking, thank God that didn't work out. And I'm sure all of you guys have experiences like that too, where you desperately wanted something, but it didn't work out. And you feel that actually God was protecting me from something. So the pattern of deliverance that we see all throughout the Bible, right? Jesus, he was not a great politician. He was not a great man of stature. It says that, in fact, the Bible tells us that he was an unattractive person when you look at him through, just worldly means. So it's a repeating pattern of deliverance through unlikely vessels. And so God raises up deliverers not because of the that delivers status, but because God intends to act through the humble and the overlooked people. In your own life, look for ways that you need to look for ways that God might be inviting you to participate in some sort of a deliverance or mercy in your own circles. Right? I'm not saying that you have to go rescue people's lives, but what this is talking about is look at your family, look at your school, look at those around you at church, and you might think your gifting is useless or not very valuable or what have you. Like, God can utilize those tools and gifts that you may undervalue to teach other people something, right? We say rescue, but I'm talking about this is talking about spiritually, right? You can do something to, to help other people or give them a thought which can help them in the future and all those things. Anybody know who Hedy Lamarr is? Hedy Lamarr.
Heard of the name.
Yeah, she's a famous actress from Hollywood back in the 1940s. So, yeah, before definitely your parents were alive and some of your grandparents were alive, 85.
You're wearing a 49.
80.
Well, 49.
She's 40 years old. Yeah. Well, try 40. Is 85 millennial?
Yes, ma'am.
Say the tea. It's amazing you get you some. My mom is 62, my dad is 60.
Okay, my parents are 62.
Yeah.
They will be.
So your parents and Mason and I are in the same generation. Oh, that's just feels so wrong to say, but good. Okay, so Mason, that's maybe why you make. So Hedy Lamarr had a side interest, right? She took a whole side quest, and she had a side interest in engineering. And during World War II, she co-created something called frequency hopping, and it was to prevent enemy jamming radio signals that were going out from your radios, right? And it was actually ignored at the time because this theory that she had was too out there for a movie star to come up with. Decades later, that same invention, you know what it became? Can you guess? Radio signals dispersing everywhere. What do you think it became? Close, but it's something that we can use in our daily lives. Wi-Fi. Yes. So, her insignificant discovery and a theory that she came up with, everybody looked down upon it because that was not her profession. She's just some dumb actor from some Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
But her invention became the basis behind how Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technology worked. So a small dismissed idea can become the backbone of global communication. Right? Everybody uses Wi-Fi except some tribal people that are in areas of like Papua New Guinea and some places of India, like Sentinel Islands and those places. Everybody uses Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Who's got Bluetooth headphones? Right?
I literally carry.
Really? Or speakers or Bluetooth, or who uses Wi-Fi in their homes? Like everybody uses Wi-Fi.
I like that.
So African cook. Yeah. And so the thing that always comes with the Book of Judges is a lesson about faith or fear. Keeping trust even when the world is against you. And actually, in this case, our verse is just one verse, right? But yet he played a vital role in rescuing Israel out of their misery. So this extremely brief story of Shamgar's begs the question, why does God put faithfulness and small moments such as this in such a grand way, rather than, somebody, let's say like David, right? Of course, David is important in the Bible, but if it's in the Bible, it must be there because it's important, right? Even if it's a verse or two. And the answer to that lies in the fact that trusting of God and all those things is valuable to God. And what God values is obedience and courage, irrespective of how other people notice or don't notice. Who's actually heard of the name Shamgar before? You've heard of the name Shamgar before today? Oh yeah, you probably read it when you were going reading through the Bible. But I would bet most of us have not even heard of the name Shamgar. And scripture often signals a compact, high-impact moment of faith. Even small acts can carry lasting significance when it's rooted in trusting in God. Deliverance stories like Shamgar's remind the readers that God's power is magnified through humble obedience, not through spectacular display of power or vulgar display of power, for those of you who know the reference. This challenges us to act in faith in the quiet moments when nobody is watching. But who's watching? God. God is watching. Small acts of obedience can be historically important, even if not many people notice. It can be significant in God's perspective. Who remembers the story of Ruth and Naomi?
Yep.
Ruth and Naomi, yes.
Oh wait. Well, I remember Naomi was gonna go away, and then Ruth said, "Where you go, I'll go. When you're done, I'll die. Your home is my home."
And your God is my God, right? So Ruth's story begins with unglamorous decision. After her husband dies, she chooses to stay with her mother-in-law, Naomi, instead of returning home. It was a low-profile, almost invisible act of loyalty. There's no money in this. There was no fame, no promise of reward. There was nothing positive that could possibly come from her staying with her mother-in-law. Yet, that choice led to her working in Boaz's field, where God orchestrated her redemption, right? And that she married with Boaz and made her an ancestor of King David, and therefore the ancestor of whom? Ancestor of Jesus. Sometimes the biggest moves that God makes begins with small, faithful steps that nobody sees. Another example from the Bible. Let's go with David. Before David faced Goliath, David was sent by his father to deliver bread and cheese to his brothers in the battlefield. It's a simple care package delivery run, right? It's like ordering Uber Eats, except your brother's delivering it to you. It was just a simple errand. It wasn't glamorous. It was a simple errand that was done by the youngest person in the family, basically a servant. But while he was over there, he overheard Goliath's taunts, right? Goliath was saying, "Who is this God of Israel that's going to rescue out of my hands?" And he was mocking God, and he was probably, it's not written in the Bible, but most likely, yeah, go ahead. So, while David was there, he overheard these taunts by Goliath, and even though it's not explicitly written in the Bible, he was probably using language that was not PG-13, right? It's a battlefield. Anyway, so his humble obedience to his father to deliver this care package to his brothers was a small, humble task, but that positioned him for one of history's greatest moments of faith, where he struck down Goliath. Faithfulness in small duties often puts us right where God needs us for the bigger duties that we need to face in our lives. It starts off small and then progressively it gets bigger. Now, a biggest decision that a 5-year-old has to make, probably extremely juvenile to you guys. And the biggest decision that you have to make now, when you look back at it in 10 years, will seem like nothing compared to the decisions you'll have to make in 10 years' time. Right? Because that's just how life is. And that's how faith is. The decisions that you have to take, the small steps you have to take in terms of faith, is where you get yourself in 10 years down the road when your faith has matured more and you're able to take those steps because of the basis that you have through the choices that you make now. The point of all of these things, right, is that the power of God is at work through the simple things. Does anybody know what an ox goad is? The weapon that he used to... Or can anybody guess what it is?
Is that like a scythe?
No, but it is a farm tool. It's used to you can poke the ox to go as it's plowing the fields in front of you, and then the sharp end is used to to scrape off the mud that's plowing up it, but that's collecting on the plow.
Yeah. So he's literally got this little farm tool.
Yeah.
Right? And it's such a little thing. It's a simple farming tool. It becomes an emblem of God's ability to use ordinary, everyday, insignificant items to accomplish extraordinary deliverance. He delivered a whole nation using an ox goad.
We killed 600 people with it.
He killed 600 people.
How does one manage to do that with just...
Probably the sharp end.
Yeah, with the sharp end.
Well, yeah, but like...
Yeah.
I imagine he did it at once and just kind of...
So, when it says that somebody killed 1,000 or somebody killed this many people, it's usually talking about the leader of the unit that he was leading. So, yes, he did kill 600 people, but unless it says, right, when Samson, we're going to get to this whenever we talk about Samson, but when Samson killed 600 people with the jaw of the donkey, it says that he killed them by himself. That's by himself. Or when it talks about this, it's talking about the unit that he was leading. We don't know how many people there were, but it was at the hands of Shamgar that the people took courage to go behind him. And but the thing is that if the leader has an ox goad as his main weapon, right, there ain't nobody that's gonna be carrying a longsword in that unit. Know what I mean? So it's probably going to be people with pitchforks and other farming tools that were with him. But yet, they managed to still defeat the Philistines. The text emphasizes the ordinary nature of Shamgar's weapon, and it is actually taking the glory away from Shamgar and human powers and shifting it to God's sovereignty. Right? God is in control. That's the whole point of this story. It's not that, oh my goodness, look how crazy this guy is with a farming tool, that he can strike down 600 men with farming tools. No, this is talking about, okay, they just had farming tools. There's no way that they were going to be able to win, and yet they won. That's the point. It's that God did it on their behalf. God delights in using ordinary people with ordinary tools to achieve extraordinary outcomes when they depend on God. Consider how everyday tools, skills, or relationships that you have can become vessels of blessing in your context if you can surrender to God. So Daniel, right? We all know the story of Daniel. Hey, what's the most famous story with Daniel?
Daniel and the lions.
Daniel and the lion's den. But Daniel's routine was simple, right?
Yeah.
He prayed 3 times a day. He would open the window, kneel by the window, and just pray. And he would do that every day, no matter what. And when the law forbade prayer to anyone except the king, Daniel didn't make a protest or a speech. He just kept on praying, just like usual. And that habit of praying that built up all throughout his life landed him in the lion's den. But it also became the platform of the most dramatic rescues that we see in scripture. The same consistency that got him in trouble also managed to rescue him out of the lion's den. Do you think that he would have been able to make it out alive if he had no relationship with God? No, there's no way, right? So, faithfulness in private, right? Faithfulness in the small things, faithfulness not in public but in private, prepares you for the deliverance in public. God often uses our daily habits to write extraordinary stories. So here are the concluding thoughts. Shagmar's delivery was one verse, but it reveals a core truth. God's deliverance often comes through unlikely means, requiring faith, obedience, and the willingness to act with what's at hand, what you've got, your tools, your things in your life that you consider insignificant. Many commentators point out that Shagmar is a reminder that God's power often operates in quiet, uncelebrated moments when believers trust Him and act in faith. So let's try to reflect on what your personal ox goad is, or what your personal ox goad moments are. What modest instrument can God use in your life through your faith to bring relief or breakthrough in other people's lives? We need to pray for openness to God's unconventional plans, courage to see small opportunities for deliverance, and faith to trust Him when results aren't immediately visible. God powerfully delivers through humble means. Even a single simple instrument placed in obedient hands can change a nation. It can for sure change your life and the lives around you as well.